President Biden is focused on responding to the COVID surge gripping the U.S. as questions remain about the future of his social and climate spending plan. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin put a halt to the Build Back Better legislation following months of negotiations with the president. The West Virginia Democrat met virtually with other senators in his party Tuesday. His spokesperson says, quote, Senator Manchin had an honest conversation with his colleagues for whom he has a great deal of respect. The president said he still believes the bill has a chance to become law. Democratic Congressman Andy Levin joins me now from Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Welcome to Red and Blue, Congressman.
Hey, Elaine, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks so much for being with us. Have you heard anything about last night's meeting with Democratic leadership?
Well, I think we're all focused on what we can do to get Build Back Better across the finish line in the strongest possible way. And in the meantime, I think the president can focus on taking executive actions to relieve student debt, for example. I'm so glad that he paused debt, debt repayment. But how about forgiving debt? There's 40 million plus Americans who have student debt. And what about reducing carbon emissions? I was glad to see his move on emissions from cars and light trucks. So I think we could focus on Build Back Better really as a whole agenda to rebuild our economy for a carbon-free future with great union jobs, to rebuild the middle class of this country. It's the president's whole vision, so we'll fight for the legislation and keep moving forward at the same time.
It's your support for this idea of executive action, essentially acknowledging the difficult political reality of Build Back Better, given what we've seen take place.
You know, Elaine, I am still hopeful that we'll pass something strong. I don't personally really understand Senator Manchin. His state is poorer than the average state. It has higher child poverty than the average state. It has more old folks and old folks in poverty, more folks with disabilities. There's even specific help for mine workers with black lung disease in this bill that helps his state more than almost any other. So we're going to keep talking and pushing to rebuild our economy in the most just way possible, with the most broadly shared prosperity possible, and it'll help West Virginians as much or more than people anywhere else.
Senator Manchin has essentially borne the brunt of criticism from people in his own party over voicing this disapproval for the president's plan. How is it, you think, Congressman, that progressives and moderates can work toward accomplishing as much as possible in this diminishing legislative calendar?
Well, you know, really 96% of Democrats in the House and Senate agree with the president's vision. So if there's several people who don't agree with it fully, let's figure out how we can accomplish as much of it as possible. I mean, child care that doesn't cost more than 7% of a family's budget, continuing child tax credits that are lifting 40 to 50% of poor kids out of poverty, really more and better job training and educational opportunities for people. All these ideas, they're not just about Democrats and Republicans. They're overwhelmingly popular with the American people. They're what we need to get our economy moving. They're even anti-inflationary. You know, they really cut costs for working family. Do you know, Elaine, that if we pass Build Back Better in the current form, not in President Biden's original form, in the current form, a typical West Virginia family of 2 parents and 2 kids making $40,000 a year would save $10,000 a year. So if bread and milk and everything are going up at their grocery stores as they are in mine, that would really be a big help. So we're going to keep our eye on the prize of improving this economy, and especially for working folks, which is always what my focus is on here in Macomb and Oakland counties in Michigan.
So we are, of course, just around the corner here from 2022. How do you think a failure to pass Build Back Better could impact the midterm elections?
You know, there's so many things that go into the midterms. I do think it matters that we pass this legislation. But I have to say that President Biden and congressional Democrats have already accomplished more in 1 year, far, far more than President Trump accomplished in 4 years. I guess his big legislative accomplishment was in December 2017 when he massively cut taxes for the very richest people and the big corporations in this country. Whereas in 1 year, we have passed the American Rescue Plan and the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act, which is going to help for years to rebuild our roads, bridges, improve our water infrastructure, get rid of lead service lines, send broadband out to rural and urban communities that haven't had access to high-speed internet. So we're going to keep on trying to rebuild this economy. You know, Elaine, I guess my basic message is Build Back Better is really what Joe Biden and the Democrats are all about. So I hope we can pass more legislation, but we just have to keep telling the story that it's kind of obvious which party is out there fighting hard to lift up the poor and working and middle class in this country, and which one is saying, oh, you know, child care, forget about that. Oh, universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds? No, too expensive. Tackling climate change? No, we don't want to do that. I mean, it's 2021, and as you say, it's just about 2022. Let's get going solving the problems of the American people. That's what the Democrats are all about, and I hope the American voters will see that clearly next November.
I also want to ask about the pandemic. We saw the president on Tuesday announce his new strategy, providing some 500 million rapid at-home tests to Americans who request them. Do you believe that the Biden administration placed enough emphasis on testing before yesterday's announcement?
You know, I've been pushing for more testing from the Trump administration and the Biden administration. I think yesterday's announcement, which wasn't just about home testing, right? It was about increasing testing in many ways. I think it was a great step. I think we have to continue to take more steps. You know, if we want testing to be routine and widely available so that basically any person who is worried about, you know, being with an older family member or a vulnerable family member or has to go to work and interact with people, that they can do antigen tests super quickly. And then if they can get a positive, they can run in and get a PCR test for a real definitive answer. We've got to keep improving this. I think President Biden took strong and clear action on it yesterday, and I say let's keep on going ahead with it.
How are public health systems and health systems across Michigan faring right now?
Wow, it is tough, Elaine, and especially the vast majority of people who are really getting sick, who are being hospitalized, who are in intensive care units, who are on ventilators. Almost all of them are unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated. So really it's the Christmas season, it's the holiday season. We've got to love our neighbors as ourselves. We got to, stand up for these health providers. So I just really encourage everybody, get vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, get boosted, get your kids vaccinated. Our health systems are under severe strain right now. And the problem is, Elaine, that the workers, the nurses, the doctors, the orderlies, the food service workers in these hospitals have been working flat out under difficult conditions, like putting their own lives in danger for almost 2 years now. And we have to do everything we can to cut them a break. I'm super grateful to President Biden for stepping up and saying he's going to send military medical units around the country to help. That's happening right now in Michigan. Sadly, it's going to be needed in many areas of the country.
Finally, I want to ask you about something we heard from the president and get your take on this. The president said yesterday that he did not think anybody thought Omicron would spread as rapidly as it did. Yet the CDC director also said yesterday, quote, "This is what we have been preparing for. This is exactly what we anticipated." First of all, do you think that's a bit of mixed messaging? And how is it you think that Democrats might streamline messaging about the pandemic moving forward?
You know, Elaine, I want us all to cut each other a little bit of slack. The fundamental situation here is that we are facing a global pandemic like the world has not seen in 100 years. And so the president's saying, wow, I mean, it is just pretend you're a biology student in high school. Wow, a new variant that is so much more transmissible than Delta was, which itself was so much more transmissible than earlier variants. So the message here is we've got to get the whole world vaccinated. We've got to deal with with Pfizer and Moderna and say, you know what? You have to help let other companies in other countries around the world manufacture these mRNA vaccines really fast. And it's going to be difficult. Even when we've gotten vaccines out to some poor countries, Elaine, we've realized, whoa, it's so hard to distribute them too. So I think we all should be humble. I think the president's doing an outstanding job. And clearly the message is this. This pandemic is really tough. The virus is going to keep on mutating. So we've got to do everything we can to social distance, mask up, wash our hands, take care of each other, and vaccinate, 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 and then update the vaccines as these variants happen. I mean, in this holiday season, let's appreciate the miracle of technology and be proud as Americans that we played such a big role in creating vaccines that not only are super effective, but that they can tinker with and redo to deal with new variants. So, I have so much faith in human ingenuity and the human spirit. I want to have a lot of faith in us loving each other and taking care of each other. And that's my plea to all Americans. Depoliticize this. Let's just do our part to lift up public health. Public health isn't about me. It's always about us. And it's not even just about us in Metro Detroit or in Michigan or the U.S. We're going to have to deal with this as a whole world because we just saw a variant take off across the globe, and it is spreading everywhere so fast. So the White House is doing a good job. The CDC is doing a good job. But we've got to do everything we can to keep up with science, listen to our doctors, and do our best to lick this pandemic, because too many lives are being lost. And right now, they don't need to be, because we have ways to stop it with these vaccines.
Congressman Andy Levin, thanks very much for your time, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Elaine. Take care.